Candyman? 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 Candyman. Huh. Okay. Yeah, we're just fine here. Candyman, released in 1992 and is directed by Bernard Rose, who has also directed such films like Paper House, Mortal Beloved, and Anna Karenina. And this film is starring Virginia Madsen, Tony Todd, Xander Berkeley, and Cassie Lemons. And the reason why we're talking about Candyman today is because it was a PayPal recommendation and donation from one of my longtime supporters and contributors on this channel named The Stars. You strike again. You recommended this movie as well as the 2001, I think it's a sequel, I don't think it's a remake, but of the same name, Candyman. I believe it was produced by Jordan Peele, which I heard a lot of good things about, so we'll check that one out next time. But here, we gotta look at the original Candyman, and I know I'm saying it very funny, but you know what? I don't care. Screw you. That's how I say Candyman. I could say Candyman, but I like Candyman. It sounds better. It sounds more official. Like if he were to walk into a bank and said, "Hello, I'm Mr. Candyman," I would, think that he was a real person as opposed to coming in like, "Hello, I'm Candyman. I have chosen you. I need to spill the blood of the innocent to become one with you." Bzzz. Helen Lyle is a graduate student working on her thesis of urban legends in her local area. And the one that fascinates her the most is the legend of the Candyman, and how this urban legend has somehow wreaked terror on the inhabitants of the rundown building of Cabrini Green Homes. Well, she went too far down the rabbit hole, I think, because the actual Candyman has now set his sights on her, and is now making her life a living hell, framing her for murder, so that eventually she will sacrifice herself to become one with the Candyman. I think that's what the plot of this movie was, and I think that's what the Candyman was trying to do, was just trying to get with her so that she could be a spirit, and then they could be a couple in the spirit afterlife. I'll be honest, the plot of this movie was kind of thin, and I was all over the place with this. I kind of had no idea, what the motivations were of the Candyman. He kind of just shows up and says, "Oh, you've spoiled my legend. People aren't afraid of me. And to do that now, I'm going to spill the blood of the innocent. So I'm going to kidnap this baby randomly to trick you so I can get you to be with me, even though it seems like you have the power to just get her. Why did you need to kidnap the baby when you could have just been with her?" Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here that I just, why did this happen? Now, I had always heard about this movie. I never watched it before. This is my first time viewing it. But I never realized that the looking in the mirror and saying his name 3 or 5 times, that all came from this movie. I thought it was all about Biggie Smalls, Biggie Smalls, Biggie Smalls from South Park. So when they started doing that in the mirror, I was like, oh my god, that's awesome! I love being educated on pop culture. It's fantastic. This movie also made me question every apartment building that I've lived in conjoined with someone else. I feel like the medicine cabinet would have been attached to their apartment, and I could easily have gotten in, because just how easy it is to remove your medicine cabinet and then see someone else's and see what someone else's apartment next to you. But I'm taking it as, that's Holy Writ. That is every apartment complex ever. So for those of you living in an apartment, if you don't know this, take the medicine cabinet off your wall. You'll be able to see into your neighbor's apartment if you ever want to. Actually, don't do that. I feel like I'm encouraging something bad to happen. Please don't! The movie does have its fair share of scares and horrors and jump scares. If you are afraid of bees, this is definitely not the movie for you. How they were able to put so many on them, I don't know. That would freak me the fuck out. And the practical prosthetics on the Candyman actor when he reveals his open chest and all the bees inside of him and his lungs are expanding. You can see his ribs. It all looks really cool. Again, though, the most important thing for me in a movie is the plot and the motivation of the characters, and I do not know the motivation of this villain. I understand Helen. I know where Helen is coming from. She has her dissertation and she wants to stand out from her peers, especially being a woman in that field. You feel like you have to work that much more, which is unfortunate. So in order for her to establish credibility and for her to be taken seriously, she needs to go down these more dangerous routes of maybe potential urban legend people dying and shit things. I like her. She's adventurous, she's tenacious, she knows what she wants, and she's willing to do really anything to go ahead and get it. And she's also a very redeemable character with what happens in the end here. I won't spoil it for those of you that haven't seen it yet. But in terms of this supernatural being of the Candyman, I do not understand. Does she just need to be sacrificed at a specific time in a specific way? That's the only way that you can get her spirit to join you in the sweet Candyman afterlife place? If they explain that in the movie, I completely missed it, and I apologize, but just going off of my first viewing from what I recalled, that was never explained. Like, why don't you just kill her, and then you have her? Yay! But no, you go through this whole trouble of kidnapping this baby, framing Helen for murder, and then, like, making her insane in the insane asylum, letting her escape again, only for you to bring her to the altar or whatever, and you're like, oh, I'll let the baby go, so come with me to be burned alive. But then, psych, I lied to you. I just feel like there's a lot of unnecessary situations happening here. If someone is a big fan of this movie and you know where the Candyman is coming from and you know what the Candyman's plan is, then please post it in the comments. I'm very interested. I'm just confused a lot. And when you post in the comments, of course, please be polite. Don't be a dick. But this movie was really a mixed bag for me because, again, I didn't know what the motivations were, and because I didn't know what the motivations were, it just felt like, oh, I'm just going from scene to scene and just minute to minute and just seeing, like, what happens, and I'm not really understanding why things are happening in here. I do like the music, though. It is very over the top with the very, very high, I don't know if it's a boys' choir or if it's just a whole bunch of sopranos, but good God, that it's just Rectus Dominus! The Candyman has a couple of spooky scenes and a couple of frights, and again, if you're not into bees, this is going to be a big no-no for you to go watching, but it's really the middle of the road for me. It's not terrible, and I definitely see why someone would attach themselves and be a fan of this franchise, but it also doesn't do anything for me. I have no inclination to go back and watch this. I'm not craving to go back and watch it again and again and again. So I don't know. We'll see how the new remake that came out last year, see if that improves on the character and the myth of the Candyman for me, but for now, the original Candyman from 1992, I'm going to give it 2.5 out of 5 Blu-rays.
I found that if you have a goal, that you might not reach it. But if you don't have one, then you are never disappointed. And I gotta tell you, it feels phenomenal.
So guys, if you've seen Candyman, what did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before and you stumbled across it because of this video, then comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell. See you the next time I release next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time on the channel, but in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.